Hello everyone, today we're going to create this beautiful blog website using a Nextjs and a Sanity CMS, and we will do this responsive design using a Tailwind CSS. So now the very first on the top we have our header including that home feature about me, and there is another one studio button because we are going to embed that our Sanity Studio inside our application, and then we're going to deploy it to Nextjs through our command line. So first thing first, that is our blog post. As you see, we have an image, and when you hover on the image you see it's coming here, click to read, and there is the right side we have the title, and then the categories and the text, and also the writer description and others. If we just click on that particular tab, as you see, it just getting in a new page with just going through with that actual slug and opening in the new page where actually you can see all the details regarding that blog. And it's blazing first because we are using that server-side rendering from the Nextjs. If we click in another, you see it's just going very fast, no loading, and it's just super fast. And now what actually you can see over here is pretty responsive for the small device to the larger one. And now what actually can be benefited from here? First thing first, you see that Studio tab. If we click and open it in another page, as you see, that's my Sanity Studio is loading, and here I can go back to the website. That's the customized header I have here, which I created, and then the blog content. So now I have the three tab, which one is the post, one author, and another is the category. So if I click on the post, I can visualize and see all of my posts here. So now without changing anything here, after I publish, I can actually post the post from here, and it will reflect after 30 seconds in that front page. So first let's create a post. Now here, that's I need to give it title, description, slug, author name, main image, categories, publish at, and in the body I need to prefer all the necessary details. So now let's just type some title. So it will be just the test title for test blog, just to show you how actually those things is working. And little description, I will just take it from here. Okay, its full tab is actually unclickable, so I will just get that lorem text from here. So that will be the description which I'm gonna show you in that preferable page, and now that will generate that particular slug for it. And the author, I will just keep the previous author which I have, and don't worry about that. I'm gonna show you how you can create each and every single thing from the beginning till end. So now for the image, let's upload an image. There are all the images available for me. I will just keep that one for the main image. And for the categories, I can select multiple categories as is an array, so whenever I'm gonna fetch that, also it gonna just fetch from there. So for this one I will add 2 categories, and there's another one, it should be the photography. And publish at time, it will automatically pick from there when the publish is going to be happen. So the description, I will just take this description, entire description from here. Okay, the image I need to upload manually, so it will not go on like that way. So it's just to show you how actually these things work. So I'm not just going to make an actual text and others. So now I can upload an image from here. So I will just, for this demo purpose, I will upload this image. Okay, that's enough, I think. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna publish my website, and as you see, it's actually live. It's not running in any of the local server, it's just in the live application, which going to reflect here. So now if I just wait for 30 seconds, it's gonna reflect here at the bottom. And I think 30 seconds is up. Let's go down. As you see, that's already here available. So if we click here, you see that's working just fine. That's how fast it gonna work, and it's actually gonna be helpful if you are having a very simple blog to show the people what actually you are looking for and how you're gonna make that one. So even you are a developer or it's the simple guy you are, you can make that one from the scratch. And for that, what actually you need, I will show you. You just need to have that Node.js installed in your local machine, then just download and install it, and then you will be capable to do all the things which I'm gonna show you right now. So keep that one. I will just keep that one for the demo purposes. I will go in my here. So previously I have one folder. You can take an empty folder and other folder wherever you want to keep your application. So here I will open my terminal. That's the simplest way I prefer to do the work. So take a clean folder and use your terminal to create the project from the beginning. And to run that project, you can just go through that Nextjs. They have a very good documentation regarding all the things. You see the get started, and you can just go through each and every single steps from here. And for me, if you want to keep pace with me, just be with me, because every single thing you can find it here. Okay, so I'm just telling you where the recipe is. You can go and find if you want. So now I need to run the first command, which will be npx, and it will be create and next app, and I will take the latest feature, and it will be bloggers YT. And don't worry about it, all the code we are gonna type, it will be available in the repo. I'm gonna put it for you, so you can just clone it or you can download it, and then you can use it in your application. And I'm gonna show you also what you need to modify to start that application. So now when you hit the enter, it's gonna come up with some of the pop-up, which is the requirement from that Nextjs, what I'm willing to do with that. So would you like to use TypeScript? Yes, of course, we will do it with that TypeScript. It's very easy and less problem with that whenever you're using Sanity with the TypeScript. And also ESLint we want, and the styling CSS, which we are going to do it with the Tailwind CSS. Most probably I'm using that one because it's very simple and I love to use that. And the source directory, which is another things I prefer in my project, and app router, and of course we are going to use that because that's the latest from the Nextjs, and every other things as usual. So just give it a little bit time to let it just install that every single dependencies in your application. And now you can see actually what actually it's going to install. For the dependencies, it's going to install the React DOM and Next, and the dev dependencies, it's going to use the TypeScript types for Node, React DOM, and auto prefixer, post CSS, Tailwind CSS, ESLint, and ESLint config next. So those all are the things which it's going to install for now. So everything is installed. Now you can go back to your folder. As you see, there's a new application is already created and all the file is available here. From here you can just go to the show more options, then you can open it with the code. But for me, I love to use it the command line. So what I'm gonna do, I will post that list to see whatever the list item I have. So now I have only one, which is the bloggers YT, and oops, I made a mistake with the name, so it will be bloggers YT, and I will just put that code dot, and it will open in my code editor, and I'm using the VS Code editor, and it's already open up here. So first thing first, let's see for initial purposes what actually we have in our application. So I will open the terminal, and in the terminal I will take my git bash. You can use the PowerShell and whatever you prefer to use. And now first, before starting explaining everything for you, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna run that npm run dev to start this application in my local server. So it will open in our localhost 3000. So while it's spinning, I'm gonna show you actually what we have. We have that next folder where all the Nextjs configuration will underlay there, and then we have that node modules, which is actually keep all the modules we are using in our application. Then we have our public folder, is basically we're keeping all the images, but for this project we will keep only one, I think, the image. It will be in the source folder for the banner, and inside the source we have this app directory. So whatever we have is going to be run from here. Now in this app I have the global CSS for styling purposes. I have the layout where all the layout is situated. So from here we're gonna give that layout purposes, like every pages where the header, footer, and how it gonna overlay. So then we have that page.tsx. The tsx is because we are using the TypeScript. If you use the JavaScript, it's gonna be JS. If you use that JSX syntax, you can use it just fine. So now you can see that website. So everything is, you can see right now in that website is rendering from here. So I'm gonna delete that main. I'm gonna open a new main, and there I'm gonna get a p tag where I'm gonna say that bloggers YT. Okay, so now if I save, as you see that bloggers YT is already available. And what I'm gonna do more, just ignore that error. This actually not an error. Yeah. So now what I'm gonna do, there is some CSS style is happening. So in the layout.tsx, not the layout, in the global.css, I need to keep that three things. If you go to the Tailwind documentation, you're gonna find that these three things we need to keep for or giving the access for the Tailwind to go from the base component and utilities. So except these three, I'm gonna remove all other things which I have in this file. And as you see, I have a clean project. So now I can start the build. So before starting the build, what I'm gonna do in the app, I'm gonna just go through, create another folder, and this folder gonna be a unique folder where I'm gonna keep that user. And why I'm doing that, because we're gonna create another file, another formation where actually we're gonna keep the studio, which going to be in our, what you call that, the private folder. So this here, these two, I'm gonna keep there in that user file. And also that global.css, so it will just access from here. So now if we go back to the layout, I believe, okay, I will just keep it in a separate file. What I can do in the source folder, I will create another folder which gonna be keeping all the style file here. I'm gonna drag that layout file here. And now I'm gonna connect that layout file with that application. So as you see, my CSS is already gone because it will not find right now. So let's go back that layout, which not the sorry, it will not be that layout. I think it's my bad. I need to keep that global.css here in this style. Okay, so let's keep it there. And now in that layout, what I need to do, I need to import that CSS file here. So I'm gonna import. It will be okay, I think, okay, it's the, okay, after the app, so in the source, okay, I think it's in the same folder actually. Yes, style, then it will be globals.css. Okay, let's save it. As you see, everything is working fine. And why I'm doing that one, you're gonna see later on how actually much more saving with that. So now, first thing first, let's go back to our folder. So here in the source, I'm gonna take another folder, which is our components will be overlay. In the components, we're gonna create all other file formation here. So now in the components, first thing first, I'm gonna create our Navbar.tsx. And there is a little snippet with that RAFCE to create that React Native snippet. And now that Navbar is created, and here in that layout, I'm gonna get that one. So in the top of the children, I will pass that Navbar. Okay, so now you can see the Navbar is available in the top. So here, okay, because I changed the directory and layout, so I need to just save it individually. Okay, so now in the Navbar, what I'm gonna do, as you see in our previous blog website, we have our logo, and then in the right side we have our 3 navigation tab. So first I need to create a navigation array, which already created over here. So it will be a navigation array which having a title home, and that reference is gonna take us the home page, and that is a title feature which gonna be take us to features, and about which also take us the about, and the important one is the studio, which going to take us to /studio. So now as our navigation tab is done, so I need to take 2 more div. So there is the 1 div, it will be there, and first thing it will be our logo. So it's gonna be bloggers. And for this logo, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a separate component to actually show the logo here. So in the component, you can keep the image if you prefer, but I will just do the logo with that text. So it will be logo.tsx, and again RAFCE to create that functional snippet. And now instead of that, I'm gonna take that logo here. And in the logo, I'm gonna pass the title, and that title, it gonna be the name which I am preferring. So it will be bloggers. And also I'm gonna pass some class name. The class name, oops, it will not be that class name, it will be that one. The text going to be black. And why I'm doing that, because if you see my example here, we can actually individually separating the color. There is the black color, it will be the white color, so we can pass the text style with that as a props. So now in the logo component, we can just modify. Now we can actually modify that one. Instead of div, I'm gonna take that h1, and here I'm gonna take the title, and also I'm gonna take that, now the children, it will be that class name. Okay, so now in the logo, I'm gonna just pass that title. Oops, not that one, it will be title. So let's go to our existing application. As you see that bloggers, the title is available, and also in the title I'm gonna pass that class name, and I will use that third bracket, the curly braces, and the backtick. So first I'm gonna give a text of 3 axle, and then I'm gonna make it the font, it will be the extra bold, and also I'm gonna make it uppercase. And after giving that style, also I'm gonna tell it whenever I'm passing a class name, it also gonna take that like preface that class name, and it gonna render. As you see, the color is black. So now if I give the color with that a blue of 400, you can see it gonna turn it into the blue. So it's now I can easily pass the color and make things right in that way. So now here, as you see, the TypeScript giving the error, like crying for something. So I'm gonna pass that interface, which gonna give us that props, and in the props I'm gonna declare if the title is available. Sometimes maybe we don't want to give title. Okay, if there is no title, I'm also gonna pass something default, so it will be bloggers. So if title is available, we know it will be string, and if that class name is available, it will also going to be string, and here I'm gonna pass that as props. As you see, TypeScript is fine. And now instead of rendering with that h1, I'm gonna keep that h1 and also gonna pass that inside that link, because we need to pass it whenever we are getting that logo. It gonna always get back us to the home page. So as you see, I think maybe we made some mistake. What actually is that? Okay, loading chunk app layout is failed. Okay, it's just a minor error. Don't worry about that, because we modified the layout. So maybe it can cause that error because of that issue. So don't worry about it. It's just fine. In the console, we have no error. And also in the server console, I believe there will be no error. Yeah, nothing. It's just fine. So now let's go back to our Navbar, and in the Navbar, we just need to start styling with that. So over here, we already got the logo. So I will take another div, and inside that div, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna map with that navigation. So navigation.map, and we will take as the item, and then we're gonna return that. So we're gonna return a link parameter, and inside that link, we're gonna pass that item.title, which gonna get the text. So it will be item.title, and also in the link I'm gonna give a key which gonna be item.title, and also href, it will be item.href. If we save that one, you're gonna be see that things is already available. So now let's just start modify with that. So first I'm gonna modify this inner one. So let's put some class name. It will be, or I'm gonna start from the top layer over here. So the class name, it will be full width it's gonna take, and it's gonna be background of white of 70%, because we're gonna give something of the blur. So the height, it will be 20, and shadow of, I'm gonna give a shadow of MD. Okay, so that's the class name. You see there is a shadow, and is everything looking better. So now here I'm gonna give a max width of screen axle, and I'm gonna keep it MX auto to keep in the middle, and also make it a flex item center, justify between, and padding it will be x-axis gonna be a 4, and whenever it's gonna hit that LG, padding in x-axis is gonna be 0, and it will take the full height from the parent. As you see, that looks great. So now in the div, we need to work on that. So first it will gonna be hidden only in MD, it will be inline a flex, and also item will be in the center, and I'm gonna give a gap of 7, and the text it will be a gray of 900, and then whenever we hover the text, it's gonna be block, and the duration going to be 200. As you see, that looks good. So now in that item we have that. So in the link parameter we need to also give some class name, so let's go and give that. In the link parameter, the text is gonna be SM, and I'm gonna make it as uppercase, and the font is gonna be a semi bold, and I'm gonna make it relative because as you see in our existing one, when we hover there is something like it's happening, so we need to make those things to appear here also. That's why you need to make that div as absolute div. And also I'm gonna make it as a group, so when I hover it's gonna reflect, and okay, I think that's much good. As you see, that's good. So now I'm gonna take a self-closing span tag which is gonna be self-closed, and now I'm gonna give some class name over here. The width is gonna be full, and height I'm gonna give you 1 pixel of height, and the BJ is gonna be blue up 700, and I'm gonna make it absolute, and it's gonna be inline block, and it's gonna be left gonna be 0, right gonna be not the right, I'm gonna be bottom will be the 0. As you see, you can see now that things is appearing, but now we need to make it as a disappear. So we're gonna make it a translate x, it will be minus translate x of 100%. So it's gonna be totally in the left side, as you see, but we don't want to see the overflow once it's outside of the div, so you're gonna make it overflow, it's going to be hidden. So you see, there's nothing there. So now here we can actually modify because we made the parent as a group. So now what actually you're gonna say in the group, whenever we're gonna hover, the translate it's gonna be x, it will be 0, and the transition it's gonna be with the transform, and the duration going to be 200. So as you see on C hover, you see just coming from nowhere and is showing. I think that's good. So now also we need to do another things, and to implement that we need to keep an icon for the smaller screen. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna open my another terminal, and then I'm gonna make that npm I react icons, which the icons I prefer to use. It's very simple to use. You can go to that react icons website and you can find every single things is very simple. So I'm gonna get that import that icon, which gonna be file menu icon, and it gonna be a from, it will be a from react icons fi. Okay, so now below that div, what I'm gonna say, I'm gonna take another div and I'm gonna put that file menu. So here what I'm gonna do, class name, it will be whenever it will hit in MD screen, it's gonna be hidden, and also that class name, it will be class name text going to be 2 pixel for the image, for the icon size. So as you see, by default it's just having the text. Now if we just go back here and if we make it small, you see it's just coming. Okay, that's fine. So now it's responsive. So now what we need to do, we need to create another portion which going to be our hero section, and it's very simple to create that. So let's go and create another components which going to be a hero.tsx rafce, and our hero is done. So now what I'm gonna do for that hero, now previously we keep that in the layout, but for this hero it will be inside that page. So here I'm gonna just pass that hero. So you see that hero is already appearing here. So now to that hero section, what actually we can do, Now you can see I have another folder in that source directory, under the source directory, that's called that images, where I have that banner image, which one actually I'm gonna show for that banner. So now in that hero section, we can actually start working with that. So first thing first, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna open a div. So it's already open, and inside that div, I'm gonna take an image tag from the next image. You need to import that, and there what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna import that image, import which gonna be banner from, and it's gonna be images, and there is one single image here, and I'm gonna give the source src, which gonna be that banner, and now also I'm gonna give that alt tag, which gonna be banner image, and then I'm gonna pass the class name. So it's gonna be take as a full width, and the max, okay, what we can do actually, and with full, it's gonna be max height, it's gonna be screen. So in that way it can be responsive for the smaller screen, and object going to be contain. Now hit the save, and after hitting the save, I believe that image you see is already appear, so that looks quite better. I think it's pretty much the similar the image we have, yes, the similar, but now we need to make some changes here. So that's our actual div. So what I'm gonna do, put a class name with a full and height of, we're gonna make it not the height, it will be max height screen, the similar of the image. I'm gonna make it as relative. So now in here, what's actually we can do, we can create another like a div, which can actually make that entitled to create that text. Oops, not that one. So as you see, we have that little text here. So these two texts we need to render within that div. So let's create that div, and in that div I'm gonna make that, like, give a class name which going to be absolute, and the top it's gonna be 0, and width going to be full from the parents, and height also it will take the full, and also I'm gonna give a bg black, and opacity it's going to be 30% of that image. If we come back here, as you see, we already having that effects. So now we need to create that two separate text, and it will be one, it will be Taylor Smith, and another the p tag, which going to be, it's gonna reflect over the traveler, and also photographer. Okay, so now these two tags is available. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna predefine the class name from the top. The text is gonna be gray of 100. Okay, and then I'm gonna make a flex, it will be in the column, and also item center, justify center to keep it in the center. As you see, this in the center. So now for the h2 tag, I'm gonna make it as a text of for the right now, I'm gonna just make it as a 7 axle, and lg, the text is gonna be 150 pixel to ensure that responsiveness, and the font is going to be bold. As you see, the text is bigger. So now for the p tag, what I'm gonna do, put another class name, and here the text similarly is gonna be the axle, and md, the text going to be 2 axle, and also the lg text going to be the 5 axle, and font it will be semi-bold. Okay, done. So as you see, I think that's the pretty much similar of our previous one. If we go in the responsive way in this smaller screen, as you see, wow, that's pretty sick. So now we have the two portion. So it's pretty much the basic we have been done. So now we need to create our studio. So means we need to create our Sanity application. And to implement the Sanity application, so let's go in the pages. I'm gonna close the others. So here we are actually in our root. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make that command is sanity init. You can go, feel free to go to the Sanity website, and you can learn every single thing from the beginning. And if you don't have the account, you can just go to the sanity.io, and then you can just create a login. As you see, I have an account with that my Google. So it's very simple to open the account in Sanity. So you can see I have already running that 8 projects here. So you can open your projects, and I'm gonna show you how actually it's gonna things to work. So to implement that one, first I need to run that command sanity init. So it's gonna start an application, the Sanity application in our project. So now here you see what actually creating a like continue creating a Sanity Studio v3 project. Of course I want to continue. So now you see it's just getting my existing project. So whatever the projects I have been created beforehand, but I don't want any existing project. I will go with that create a new project. And now it's asking me to give the name. So it's gonna be that bloggers YT. Just put the same name. So because I'm gonna just remove it from my parent directory, I'm gonna just extract it, and also it will go with that default configuration of the dataset, which is going to be the by default is the production label. So now it's starting to creating my dataset. The path it's gonna be default path I'm gonna keep, and there is the thing, it's asking me to get some schema, the predefined schema, which is the mobile project, e-commerce, blog, and the clean project with no predefined schemas. My next video going to coming with an e-commerce website full functional with the Sanity CMS, where I'm gonna go with that clean project with no predefined schemas for this blog website, because it's very simple. I want to show you how easily you can access all the functionality from the Sanity and the Nextjs. So I will go with the blog schemas, and also I prefer that TypeScript. So now it's gonna go and prefetch every single things, and which module, remember I use that npx to create an npm to install all the dependencies, so I will use that same, the npm. And now it's gonna make that legacy dependencies, and it's gonna install all the things required to implement the Sanity CMS in our application. Just give a bit of time, take your coffee, and it's gonna be installed. So now as you see, everything is installed. So now to run that application, what I need to do actually to implement that Sanity, so let's put that ls. As you see here is my bloggers YT is created another project inside my project. So let's go to inside that bloggers YT, and now I'm gonna make that a Sanity dev or npm run dev. I think it's gonna start that application. As you see, Sanity dev is initialized. So that application going to first it's gonna configure all the things to require running that, and it's gonna start speeding in the local host 333, not 333, 3333. That's the 3000 for our local host, and that one is for that Sanity page to run that Sanity port to run that application. So it's gonna start that total studio over here in there. So now I need to go with that login credential. So I will start with the Google, and then I'm gonna give credential for my accounts to create that. And now as you see, it's loading my application. So now here I have that post and other preferences. I have the author, I have the category. So everything is looks fine, but as you remember in our previous studio, so what actually how we are reflecting, we have our own header, then we have that all the tools and scriptures. So first thing first, instead of running it here over here in our different tab like localhost 3333, I'm gonna run that in my application. So whenever I'm gonna make the /studio, it's gonna just go and grab that studio. But before that, there is one more thing is pending, which is going to need to be implemented in that our Navbar. So just let's search for the Navbar, and here we're gonna just make some of the changes, which going to be that I'm gonna make it as sticky. The top it's gonna be 0. I'm gonna make a backdrop, and it's gonna be blur of 2 axle, and then the transition it's gonna be go with that, I think the colors. Okay, transition going to be the colors, and shadow is already predefined. So if I save, okay, okay, there is another things which we need to give is that we already provide that VG white. So why actually it's just taking that, okay, it's getting, but is okay. We also need to make that Z of 50 to get in the top. So as you see, our image is already encompassing here. I think I may have some mistake. So here in the white, okay, I give the width full, height 20 sticky, is sticky, and I getting the top. So backdrop blur is 2 axle, and the transition is in coming with the colors. Okay, should be fine. I think that a backdrop blur it's gonna be dash. So if we save that, as you see, a little bit of that background effect is coming in the header. And also we need to make another simple things, which is going to be the footer. So let's create that one. So tsx and rafce. So it will be just simple, and also that going to be implemented in our layout, our user layout. So here we're gonna make it as the footer to make some beautification. So now in the footer is also pretty much the similar with that. Let's just see in our previous example. So here we have 3 div with the other properties. So we have that image, logo, and other properties. So first thing first, let's go in the footer. And now here, what I'm gonna do for the layout, I'm gonna create a container. So it's gonna be over here. It's going to be container.tsx. rafce. So it will be our container, and inside that container, what actually we are going to take is that we're gonna pass that children as the props, children, and also we're gonna make that keep that class name. So it will be that children and class name. So that children, and for that entire div, we're gonna give a class name, which going to be, we're gonna define with that backtick. So it will be the max width, and going to be that screen axle, and also it's gonna be mx auto. Okay, and also after that, if we want to predefine any of the class name, we can just pass it here. So it's gonna be working in that way pretty much fine. And we're gonna declare that interface, which going to be the props, and that children going to be it's going to be react node. Okay, and that class name, which going to be that class name, and that class name is available, it's going to be string. Okay, and then we're gonna pass our it will be the props. So now we can combine that class name, that container, anywhere where actually we need that, what you call that max width. So now we can actually call that one. So here in the container, if we save that, you will see that actually passed there and it's in the middle. So now what we can do more is that just keep some design here. So we're gonna make a padding of 10, and that VJ is gonna be a block, and the text going to be gray of 100. And we're gonna make it a flex item center, justify between, to keep everything in that both side level. As you see, that's our footer. And first thing first, we need to pass our logo. So in the logo, we will just give the title, which is going to be our bloggers, and also the class name, the text. It's not that one. It's going to be the text of whites. Okay, so bloggers is available. And after that, we will also make a p tag, which going to be the text of all rights that reserve. So it will be that text. It's containing a lot of space. Delete that. And here I'm gonna generate a link from the next link, and where actually I'm gonna pass that React JS BD. And in that interlinked, what I'm gonna do, put some class name. So whenever we're gonna hover, it's gonna be the text going to be white, and the font going to be the semi-bold, and the duration going to be 200. And also we need to declare that href. The href going to be my channel account name, which going to be that our YouTube channel, my YouTube channel. So also what I'm gonna pass that, I'm gonna pass a target, which going to open a blank page. So now if we come over here, if we click in that React.js BD, it's gonna open up my channel, And as you see, I create a lot of video with regarding that channel for that blog website, e-commerce website. Feel free to go there. You can learn a lot of new things. And if you have any question, you can chat with me. You can just put something in the comments, then I'm gonna reach you out. And all other possibilities is gonna be just fine from the channel. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do in that vtech, also in the top layer, I'm gonna make the text as a small text, and the text, it will be the gray of 300. Okay, so this two side is fine. So now there is another layer which will be there, and it gonna be starting from the div, and here I'm gonna put that inside that link. And here first I'm gonna put that BS YouTube. So it's gonna be icon from that, so from the React icons. So I'm gonna just import all the icons I need for these purposes. So that's the icons I'm gonna use. And also that href, I'm gonna pass that href to open in. Now you can put your href wherever you want to redirect your user, and which form you can just pass it there. So now as you see, okay, nothing is visible here because I need to make that one to look visible. So now put the class name, the text, it's gonna be gray of 300. By default, it's gonna be hidden, and MD, it's gonna be inline flex, and item center, I'm gonna give a gap of 7. As you see, I have that icon available. So now for that YouTube icons, put some class name, and I'm gonna make it the text as 2XL, and hover text going to be the rate of 500, and also the duration going to be 200. As you see, that looks good. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna popping up my other icons which I need for this build. So that's all the icons. We have that GitHub icon, we have the Facebook icon, Instagram icon, and others. I think that's much only. So you see, now I'm just redirecting is only on my YouTube channel. You can redirect wherever you feel free. So now those things done, and also this one is responsive, and by the way, so now we need to embed our Sanity CMS inside our application, and we're gonna do it right now. To start embedding, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna open my package.json, and then let's go inside that bloggers YT, and also I'm gonna open that package for our Sanity. So now what I'm gonna do, okay, let's see what the package we have here for the Sanity. In the dependencies, we have that next vision, and also that Sanity and style components. So these three things we need to get from there. So in my dependencies, I'm gonna just add these three dependencies, and for the tab dependencies, for this I need that Sanity sln config file. So I will just copy that, and I'm gonna just paste it here. Okay, so hit the save, and I'm gonna just go out from that Sanity Studio, and now I'm gonna make that npm I, so it's gonna install that dependencies for me. Okay, so now also let's explore a bit over here in that Sanity Studio CLI. So now from here I need also that schema file, so that schema folder where all the files is underlying. So here in that source file, I'm gonna open another folder. I'm gonna give a name of that as Sanity. So inside that folder, I'm gonna just import all the things like that schema. So I'm gonna just drag that schema, and then I'm gonna keep inside that Sanity. So now I have that schema running here, and also I need that two things, Sanity, okay, just okay, Sanity CLI and the Sanity config. So these two things also I'm gonna take in my root directory. So now this both file, it will be available here, and after that I need to have one .env file in my root parameter. So it will be here. I'm gonna just open create a new file. It will be .env. So here I'm gonna keep all my env dependencies. So let's open that. Okay, where I create that, yeah, that's here. So now here I need to keep that next, and it will be a public, and then it's gonna be a sanity. It will be that project ID, and the other one it will be next public sanity dataset, and another one it will be that next public, and that will be sanity API version. So these all three values I need to provide. So first let's go to that sanity CLI. As you see, I have that my project ID here, so I'll keep that in my .env file, and also I have that dataset, which is that production dataset, and for that API version I'm gonna keep that as the 2023 05 of 3. So that's the version I'm gonna use it here. So now in the Sanity CLI, what I'm gonna do right now is that I need to configure something. So to create that configuration, let's just go to that file, and here I'm gonna just keep that Sanity project ID and dataset from that .env file. So from this file I'm gonna explore that, and I'm gonna remove that project ID because I'm gonna keep that project ID which I'm gonna importing from that Sanity CLI. So not Sanity CLI, from that dataset. And after that also I need to give it as the base path, which going to be that studio like /studio from my local host. It's gonna redirect me from there, and also the name, and the other one which I'm gonna put that the name it will be bloggers_studio, and the title it will be blogger studio, and the project ID and dataset I already provided. So now I think it's going to be all right. So I have the Dex tool and the Vision tool, and later on we're gonna also introduce that components where we're gonna create that Sanity Navbar. So now that's the CLI. So also for these premises, I'm gonna also just copy that portion and also gonna just paste it here. So now I no need to implement this one. I will just go with that default behavior. So now I have that project ID, I have my dataset. So now how actually I can access all the things. So first thing first, I'm gonna delete this folder from here. I no longer needed this folder. So now as I remove that portion, so in my source folder, inside that source folder, in that app directory, I need to create another directory which the name it will be studio, and that directory after that I need to create that / or just you can enter that folder, and then you can enter another folder. So this folder it's gonna be name of that third bracket, and then dot oops, it will be triple dot, then index, and then you're gonna this closing tag. So now we have that portion, and now before that what I actually wanted not to create in here, I want to create it inside that admin folder. So I will create an admin folder, and inside that admin folder I'm gonna keep that folder. So I'm gonna just drag that inside that admin. Okay, so now inside my admin it should be available. So as I have that studio, so what I'm gonna do now inside that index folder, I'm gonna just create one file which gonna be page.tsx. So now this is the file which gonna contain all other things, my studio and all other possibilities which I need to implement. So here also I will take another file which going to be studio.tsx, and now in that page it will be the magic gonna be start happening here. So what I'm gonna do, like I'm gonna make that refce, so it's gonna be just that studio page. So in that studio page I need to import some of the things, and first thing first I need to install that npm I that next sanity I need to install to run all other operation. As next sanity installed, I need to get some more things from there. So now I'm gonna import that or just I'm gonna get that from there, because I need 4 things which going to be that metadata and viewport from the next, and then metadata I'm going to use that for that studio metadata, and also I'm going to use that studio viewport. So now I'm going to declare, because I'm going to get that loading status. So whenever it's going to loading, it's going to give the initiate status from here. So it's going to be export const and the metadata, which the type is going to be that metadata, and that portion it's going to be whatever that studio view I think not studio view, studio metadata is available. And then I'm gonna pass the title. That title is gonna give us that loading studio. Okay, so that's the metadata. And also for the viewport, I'm gonna pass that export const and that viewport, which is going to take that viewport parameter, and that viewport it's gonna be take that studio viewport like the default one, and then I'm gonna pass that interactive I think, yeah, widget, which is gonna be resize that content. Okay, so that's two things is passed, and now I need to render that studio here. So I need to create something with that studio. So first, because actually beforehand we used to keep that as a like the use client component, and then like modifying that entire things. But as we are using so many things from the server side, and we can manipulate the metadata, so it's better to keep it as a server side render. So all other client side compatibilities we can keep in the studio. First we're gonna just make that as use client, and then I'm gonna import, and I'm gonna import that studio. I think next studio we need to import, so it will be next studio from that Next Sanity studio. And here I will just make that const studio. So that's the function we're gonna define. You can keep that RFC to create that, or you can just go with that in a simple way. So here I'm gonna just return a simple thing, which going to be our next studio. And here by default it's gonna take a parameter, which going to be that config parameter. Here we will pass that sanity config, and that sanity config is the config is we are declaring here. Okay, so all the defined value is going to be passed from here. So let's save that one. And this config file, where actually we're gonna redirect here in that file. So instead of entire div, which we are going to do is that we're gonna just pass that studio. Okay, studio. Okay, why is not giving me any hint to import? Okay, studio. Okay, it's not giving me any hit. I'm gonna just get manually grab that, so it will be okay. There is one more thing, because I need to export, so it will be export default, and we just going to export the studio. That's the why it's just not coming that. So now if we just come here, control space bar, I have the option to get my studio. So now studio is okay. All other parameter I believe it's just fine. So now we can actually view our studio here if it's possible. And before going that here in that studio parameter, as you see, we have that our admin pages. This is the admin. So now here I'm gonna open a file, not in the admin. So this is the admin. Here I'm gonna create a file. I'm gonna give it a name of layout.tsx. So inside that layout, we can generate other properties, and here we need to pass that our CSS file, which is going to be that import. I think it's gonna be outside of that or inside of that. Okay, style, yeah, style. Then globals.css we need to import, and also we can export that metadata. Metadata, and that metadata we can pass that. Actually, even we are, because by default it should create, but it didn't create, so we will just make that one as the default one. And also we're gonna make that export default, and we will just create that function, and that function is gonna pass that root layout. and you're gonna pass that parameter, and that parameter are going to be grab those entire things. So first thing first, it is a parameter, or instead of going through of this hard work, I'm just gonna grab it here. So that's our layout for these premises. So now we can actually interject whatever the things we want to interact here. So now if we go back here, as you see, I'm not running any other studio or any other package, as a single application is going from there. If we go from that studio, and it should render our studio, which actually is in the Sanity. And you're gonna see a message here, as you see, it's compiling the studio. That's the studio is compiling from that that index folder. So that's the one is compiling, and it's already compiled. So we wanna see that very soon. So you see that loading, that's the instances we are actually giving the title. So now it's loading that instances, so we will be able to see our studio right now here. So we need to put that course compatibility things, so we can just go back to in our project and just continue and add the course here, and it's as that simple as. So now the course is added, so we can view the structure here. As you see in the post, we have all the methods, so we can now add the post and other things. So first we need to create the header. Remember, we have one header which actually we have been created. If we go back to my previous studio, which is uploaded, you can see one header is available. So this is the header we need to create here right now. And to implement that header, what we can do, I'm just gonna close all the file. I'm gonna go with that sanity config. Remember, we have the type from the schema, and now here I'm gonna pass that parameter of studio. You see, we can pass an object, and inside that studio, I'm gonna pass that components in that object, and I will pass that Navbar. So here I'm gonna create another components, and I will give that name as studio Navbar.tsx rafce. So this gonna hold that StudioNavbar here. So I'm gonna import that one here, StudioNavbar. Okay. StudioNavbar. So you see that StudioNavbar is available, but now we need to make it the way we want. We are preferring that one. So in that StudioNavbar, we need to have one icon first. So I will grab that icon from the next icon. Okay, so that's the icon. And you can remember one thing, because we need to have that parameter also, the default behavior, because this one is already gone. So we need to keep that default one, then we will use the other one. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna keep that as the props. So I will just pass that props, because all the default behavior we want to keep it. So first thing first, what I'm gonna say it here, that props and props dot render default, and it's gonna render props. Okay, so whatever the default behavior, it's gonna render it from there. Okay. Okay, let's see what's the issue here. Okay, it's my bad. I think I misspelled name, so it will be the props. So now if we save that one, you see the default, all the default behavior is available. So now we can actually pass the other parameter. So now after, in the top of that, I'm gonna just take a div, and in that div I'm gonna pass other things. So giving a padding of 5, and then VJ, I'm gonna make a black, or you can make is a blue of 700 to let you see that, and the text, it will be a gray of 100, and I will make it flex, item center, justify between. So you see that's available. I'll just grab the text, I'm gonna make it the BG as black. Okay, so now I'm gonna generate one link. So that will be the link. It will be the both way, and href, it gonna pass that to our main route, and here I'm gonna pass that return icon, and that icon give you a class name, that class name is gonna be text of 2axle, and then I'm gonna pass a text. It will be go to website. So you see that's appearing here. So now in that link parameter, I'm gonna give a class name flex item center. The gap is gonna be 3, and the font it will be that semi bold, and hover the text going to be a blue of 600, and also the duration it's going to be 200. So let's save it, and you see that looks cool. If we click that, it will just take me to that home page, and if we click our studio, it will take me back to my studio page. And now after having that link portion, I'm gonna have my logo here. Remember, we have that logo, and in the logo I will pass the title, and the title is gonna be bloggers studio. And now I'm gonna give a class name. The text going to be 2xl. By default it's gonna be hidden, and whenever it will hit an empty screen, it's gonna be inline flex. Okay, that's cool. And another p tag, which I just a simple p tag, I think. So it's gonna be studio for blog content, and for this parameter, the class name of text of small text. You see that studio looks good. If we just go and just grab in the smaller screen, okay, that's cool. So now we need to actually modify some of the parameter in the post. So this is the post. Now we can actually create the post, but remember what actually contained in our post here. We have our title. So if we just go back to our existing any of the post, okay, I will just hide my toolbar. You see the title description. So this description is not available right now. If we just go and add it here in another post, you can see we have the slug, but we don't have the description. But now that is the actually predefined thing. So how we can actually render the description? So to render that, remember we have our Sanity folder, and in the Sanity folder we have all our schemas. That's the post schemas we are talking about. So now in the post schema, we're gonna define something called description. So this is the title and that's the slug. So inside here, I'm gonna make that as a defined field, and I will pass that parameter within the object. And now what I actually want to pass, the name, it's gonna be description, and also the title, it's gonna be description, and then we're gonna pass that type, it's going to be a string. So once I save that one, it's gonna reload, and you will be able to see the descriptions available. As you see, it's reloading, and now we can see the description. And the similar things, we're gonna do it in the author. As you see, that's the author is happening with the slug and image. So we're gonna modify the author the way we want it to be. So we need just some of the simple few things. So that's our author. So in the author, we also need that field which going to be defined the description. So after in the top of the slug, we will just define that description and that image, and then this bio is we are not going to use that bio, so I'm gonna just remove that. Okay, so now let's start and create one post. How actually you can create? So first you need to add, just in the plus icon, you just click over here in the title, so you can just put that test blog, and then in the description you can put anything. So just I'm gonna put some lorem, and when you generate, click on the generate, it will click that, make that unit slug. As you see, if we go back to our previous website, if we click on that, it's getting me to that particular page on the post within that slug, and I'm fetching that data in real time from that server side, but just getting the help of that slug. And then you need to get the author. As we don't have the author, you can create the author instantly on that particular time. You just name that like Jennifer, put some any description you want, or you just keep it in a way. You just generate a slug, and you need to pass the image of that writer. So I will just put her. Okay, I'll put her there. Okay, So now it's uploading the author. So now we can actually have that author. So after having that, passing that author, you need to see that publish button. You just need to publish that. Just give it a time because I think my net is slower, so it's not going in a very fast way. So it's already loaded. So I will publish the author. So now after publishing the author, you see that author is available here. So now I can link that author here. So now I will open a main image, the image you want to give. So I will keep that as the main image. That main image gonna reflect here and also reflect here. So this is the main image responsibility I'm just going to share with that. So now the categories, you can just add new categories here, and you just put that create new. And here you see we have that you can put the category name and description if you want to keep. If you don't want to keep, it's up to you. But at that category we can make multiple category. So you can create another category, and that one it will be beauty, lifestyle, beauty, or any way you prefer. And you can both way you can select that. You see two are selected. So now this field is a rich text field. So now here you can combine all the text you want to put. So let's go back here. I'm gonna just grab those. Okay, I'm gonna grab those text and I'm gonna paste it here. Okay, and also you can pass an image here to render that image the way you feel better. Okay, and after load, and if we just hit the publish, that document is published. Okay, so this is the similar pattern. You can easily utilize the data you want to put, and from that vision setup we can actually grab this data. So as you remember, I already did all the things from here. So what I'm gonna do in a very simple and specific way, I'm gonna grab my previous project ID and I'm gonna replace with my new within that project ID. So I will be get my previous project data, all the tab, it will be available here because I don't want to create that 6th data. It's gonna kill a lot of time. So now as you see, that's my 6th. I think that's the previous blog data which I have here is all are available, and that's the I post it in the similar fashion the way I show you right now. So now I need to get those data to show it in my page. As you remember, I was here. Okay, so I need to get that part. I need to render the data. Once I click, then I need to show the data, and then I need to upload it. So to implement or to get the data, first we need to create a helper function by which we can get that one. I will just close all other things. So here in that source directory, I'm gonna create another folder which I will keep the lib. So all the helper function I'm gonna keep inside of that file on that folder. So now here I'm gonna make that create client.ts. So this file will be responsible to get all the things. So now I'm gonna import, and that will be that create client from Next Sanity. And here I need to define that data set like the variables I used to pass. So these two things I'm gonna just copy from there and I'm gonna paste it here. And there will be another one which going to be API version, and then it gonna be I believe there is another name of that, Next Sanity API version. And don't worry about that, because if we go back to the npm and you just put that Next Sanity, you just copy and search it here, you're gonna find that Next Sanity and all other parameters I'm spending time here, I'm giving you the idea and understanding is available here. Okay, so the quick start and also the embedding guideline, you see the manual installation, everything is actually I'm getting from here. So feel free to come here and also just juggle yourself and try to read some more documentation, and you're gonna have a better idea to how actually embed everything from the beginning and how easily you can fetch the data. Okay, so I don't want to waste your time, because if you want to, feel free, you can follow me with that and it will be just fine. So now as I have that, so I'm gonna just export and const, I'm gonna create a client, and that client is gonna come with that function create client. Inside that, I'm gonna pass the object, I'm gonna pass that project ID, I'm gonna pass that data set, I'm gonna pass that API version, and the use CDN. Now use CDN is like working as a caching. So if you are getting your data from a different continent or some other server, it will just keeping that in the cache. So whenever you are near any of the server, it's gonna just prefetch that data and pass it to you. So it's a project is very small and I'm using in the local server, so I will just make it as false. If you want to use in that way, you can make it as true. If it's your choice on that. And now I'm gonna just make that so the client is actually implemented, and I need another things which actually basically I need to install for the image. Remember, we will get the image from Sanity, of course. So in that npm not the npm, I think I need the Sanity image URL. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just make that npm I need the Sanity image URL to render the image in a very copic fashion, the way the Sanity is giving me that idea to do it. So now what I need to do, import image builder, not from that Sanity, it will be coming from that Sanity, and then it's gonna be get that, it will be at Sanity image URL. So now I need to make a helper function, and I'm gonna pass that as builder, and that builder is gonna go with that image URL builder. Which one I import? It will be image URL builder, and it's gonna be just that. Okay. So in that image URL builder, I'm gonna pass that client so it can access the Sanity, and now I'm gonna pass export const URL4, or you can pass any name you want, and then source, it can be the any source, and here I'm gonna return, and then it will be that builder dot image, and that image is gonna pass the source. So now also I can access the image. So how actually I can get that data, because I have that data, remember. So I will just open that studio in a different tab, and here I'm going to run a query by which I'm going to know which data I am prefetching. As you see, that version tab, so let's click on that version, and as you see, or I'm just going to remove all the previous thing, and I'm going to type it right now. So what I'm gonna say, I'm gonna put a star mark on that, so that is star, that's the way the GROQ query is writing. So you can feel free to read the Sanity documentation how the GROQ is working. So I'm gonna pass the type, and the type equal to, it will be that post. So the type will be post, and what actually I want all the post, and then also I want that author from the post, and then also I want that categories, so all the categories from there, and then it will be that way. And then what I want, if I just fetch that one, as you see, that's giving me all the categories, not all the categories, all the all the 7 properties of that data. You see the author is coming, category is coming, main image is coming, body is coming, and the title, descriptions, everything is coming. And also if I want to make it in orderable fashion, so it will be coming from beginning to top, we can just make that order, and then it's gonna pass that it will be created at, and then you can pass that ascending, so it's gonna give you the ascending data. So in that similar fashion, we're gonna create that query from the GROQ. So now let's go back to our remember, we have 2 folder. One is the admin, one is the user. We are not going to access that in the admin folder. We're going to access that in the user layer, in user level. So in the user, the page. So here we're going to write that query. So it will be a const query, and that query, it's going to be GROQ. And don't forget to import the GROQ from the Next Sanity. And that GROQ, we're gonna get that backtick on that. And remember, the one actually we use in there in the Sanity Innovation tool, I'm gonna just pass that here. So that's the one we're going to get the data with that. So now this query gonna access all the data. So it will be default. I'm gonna make it as a async action, and here I'm gonna make that as const post equal to await. It's gonna get the client from the lib that on the lib, which I create that client function, and in the client dot we're gonna fetch, and what it's gonna fetch? It's gonna fetch the query. And if I make just a log, I will be able to see all my posts. If I just make it a bigger, you will be able to see all the post data is available here. So now I have the data. Now it's very easy to render it. Okay, to render that one, all the data in the possible fashion, what I'm gonna do, first I'm gonna remove that console. I'm gonna open create a component, and in that component it's gonna be named as BlogContent.tsx RFCE. Now here in that, from that page, I'm gonna just get that BlogContent, and I'm gonna pass that posts as posts. Okay, so now in the BlogContent I will be able to access that data. So that's the post. So now here I can get that post, and I can pass that any method to get all the error in pop away. But remember, we are using the TypeScript, so we need to define the type. So in the parent layer we're gonna just get the type.ts or types.ts. So in that file we're gonna write all the types is available for that one. Now remember, there is the base function, because there is a base, and inside the base we're gonna have the post and other and author. So now what I'm gonna do, pretty much basically I got that idea from that Sunny Sangha in his video where it's written the post method, and that's very interesting the way he explained. So I'm just going to follow up the same parameter. You see, I am having the type as a base, and I'm passing that created as the string id, rev, and type, and updated at, and then I'm exporting that interfaces, which is mentioning here as that interface as the profs. So interface as post, which extends from the base. So this base indicating that entire things from the base, and then also it having that its own things, which is the author, body, category, main image, slug. So now I need to manually mention that 5 things together. So what actually going to be the author consisting, what the author is having, so it gonna declare. Remember, I'm just exporting the post, I'm not exporting any other things. I am now explaining those things. So the author containing the image, containing the slug, and name will be string, description will be a string. So remember, I have that author. Now I need to mention what the image is gonna be look like. Okay, so the image is gonna be look like, the type it will be an image, the asset it will be the reference one. So now as I mentioned the reference, what the reference it will be, now I need to give a definition for the reference. It will be type as slug, and the current it will be string. Remember, once I am giving all the conditions, is always just getting the error away. So now there is a slug, there is an error, so I need to define how the slug it will be. The type will be slug, the current it will be string. Remember, error is almost popping up down. So now what I have there, blog and category. So what a blog it will be, how it will be look like. So the blog, there will be a key for the blog, the type it will be a key, it will be string, and then the type it will be blog. Children it will be in the span of array, and then the mark tips will be any, it can be an array, and the style it will be normal, and h2 3 4, and the block code it's gonna be the blog data, the body data we are rendering. So now after that we are having a problem with the span. How the span it will be look like. The span it gonna be the key, it will be string, type is span, and the other things, the mark properties, how it gonna be. And then it gonna coming with that another properties, which is going to be that interface category extends base, and then the description gonna be string, the title going to be string. Remember, this is very simple things. If you just go and read it, and it's gonna make a lot of sense. So I prefer you type yourself, and then you're gonna learn a bit more why actually is coming on that way. So instead of declaring everything inside one type, you're gonna just go with that base component, then just make it in a chunk by chunk, because it's a huge data. So if you make it in a chunk way, it's very easy to render. So now what I did is export that interface from the post, extends with those bunch of data which is interlinked in the below, so it can access all the data. So now in that blog content, instead of any, what I can do, I can pass that as the props. So now I will just make a type, or I can make that interface, and that interface, it will be the props, and inside that props, not the props, it will be props. Now inside that props, I'm gonna pass that post, so that post is going to be contain the type of post, and which will be an array. So now I can pass that post here, and once I did that, or is not the post, oops, sorry, I need to pass that props. Once I did that, my error is popping away. So if I now make that log here, I will be able to see I'll be able to see my post again popping up. You see, all the post is available. So now it's time to go and create the changes. So I'm gonna make a container. Okay, container, and I'll just copy it here. Now let's go and give some class name. The bj, it will be gray of 100, and padding in y-axis going to be 20, px it will be I think 10. Okay, flex it will be in column, and the gap it gonna be 10. So now it's going to start popping up. As you see, that's the container where we're gonna keep all the blocks parameter. And before I go any further, I want to do one more thing, is that in the layout I want to change the title and description, which is not look so better. So I will go our main user layout in here. These two I'm gonna just replace with that. So the bloggers app, your blogging guideline, and the description, this is the bloggers app boundary. As you see, the title is just changed, so that looks great. So now let's go again with that. Remember, here I'm gonna have all my posts, remember. So I'm gonna just post dot map, and I'm gonna get all single post, and then I'm gonna return it inside the link. Right now what I'm gonna do, href, I'm gonna just render it as a home. Later on we're gonna just predefinely declare with that Slack. So now I'm gonna define a div, and here I'm gonna take that the image tag, and in the image tag I'm gonna get that a source, and remember we have that url4 helper function, and in the url4 I'm gonna get that a post dot main image, and then whenever you have the main image, just give me back the URL. Okay, so now we have the main image, and the width I'm gonna give a 500 of width, the height going to be 500, and then all tag it will be that blog post image, and also the class name I'm gonna give a width of, I'll just pass that class name later on. Once I hit that, you're gonna having an error here right now, because remember we are fetching the data from the Sanity, by which we need to declare that cdn sanity.io in our next config file. So let's go back to the next config.js in that here. So in that file, inside that parameter, I'm gonna pass that, oops, it will be images. Okay, in the images I'm gonna pass an object, and then I'm gonna pass that remote patterns, how it gonna be, and inside that array I'm gonna pass that a parameter, the protocol it gonna be that HTTPS protocol, and then the host name I will pass that CDN name of the Sanity, and the path name it going to be rendered from the beginning to all the secular path it gonna access. So the best thing is that once you just write anything in that next config.js, you just feed your terminal, then reload again. But also if you refresh, it will just work fine. It depends on your internet connection. As you see, it's compiling. I think it will not having an error, but the best option is just kill the terminal and run it again. For right now, you see that's working fine. Okay, I can see the image 1 2 3. Okay, image is popping up. Okay, so that looks good. So now as I have the image, now I can start working and modifying all other parameter. So then let's go in the top level of the div. I'm gonna put a class name. I will make a flex. I'm gonna make in a flex in a column portion, and MD it's gonna be flex row for that responsiveness. I'm gonna give a gap of 10, and the BG it's gonna be white, rounded going to be MD, and rounded top left it's gonna be MD, rounded bottom right it's going to be MD, and then whenever you hover, shadow it's gonna be MD medium, and the duration I'm gonna pass it to 100. The changes it's not gonna reflect much because you see it's nothing to show that much available here right now, only the image is available. So now what I can do is, as you see, I define that. So in that image, so the image we use that. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna grab those image, I'm gonna pass that inside the div. Now here in that div where I have the image, so now after the image I can make another div on that, like the self-closing div, to create some class name on that. First let's go in the top level, I'm gonna give that class name on that div because I want to because once we go in the previous one, you see there is a black shadow on C hover is getting white, and then it's also the click to read coming, and other properties is just getting to pop up. So that's the instances I'm going to create. So now first thing first, it's gonna be by default it's gonna be weight gonna be full, and MD the weight it's gonna be 3 by 5, and also I'm gonna make a group, and overflow going to be hidden, and also rounded top it will be rounded top left it's gonna be MD, rounded bottom left MD, and then I'm gonna make it as relative. Okay, still nothing showing that much. So what I'm gonna do, put some class name on that. Class name I'm gonna make it absolute, and then top 0, left 0, and then BJ make it a block, and then also width it's gonna be the parent's width, height it will be the parent's height, so it will be full, and the group hover it's going to be hidden, the duration per period it's gonna be 200. So you will see that a parameter is pending. Okay, let's just make a reload. I believe, yeah, you see. So okay, it's because of the reload we are not seeing that available data. Remember, we changed in the file. If we click, that's actually available. So what we need to do is that in the black layer I'm gonna put an opacity, and that opacity is gonna be as a 70. 70 gonna be good, I think, or 20, not 70, the 20. Okay, so the image, we need to make some of the things with the image. For the image I'm gonna give a full width, and max height it's gonna be a 500 pixel, so it's gonna just render with the 500 pixel, and the object cover, oops, it will be object cover, and then overflow we can make that as hidden. And then for the image, not the overflow, it will not come from here, so we can just put in that way. So now whenever we're gonna group in, hover in the group, I want that to be a scale of 105, and that scaling duration also I want to give that as 500 to make it look better, and rounded top left it's gonna be MD, and rounded bottom left MD. Okay, that looks fine, as you see. Okay, that's cool. So now this thing is absolutely fine. So now we need to create another div where we're gonna make that clickable buttons, which will say as click, oops, it will be the capital C, click to rate. And here in that click to rate, put some class name, which going to be text, going to be large text LG, and font it will be the semi bold font. And also in that parent layer of the div for that p tag, it's going to be absolute, and also it's gonna be hidden whenever it's gonna be group hover, it will be inline flex. Okay, inline flex, and the bottom is gonna be 0, left 0, width going to be the full width we're gonna give on that, and bj opacity it's going to be 20, background opacity, and background it's gonna be black. You can put that black /20 also, it will get that opacity, and that backdrop blur it's going to be let's put that LG, and the rounded we're gonna make that rounded. Okay, as you save that, as you see that's actually appearing. So now we need to make some more, and a drop shadow we're gonna make drop shadow of LG, so it's gonna create a shadow, and the text going to be white, padding of 5, and also justify center, duration going to be 200. So that duration we're gonna pop up. So as you see now looks perfect. So we have that left portion done. So now we need to go with that right portion. Remember, that's the div we just now finished. So after that div we need to create another layer of div, and here in that layer of div we're gonna give a class name. The width is gonna be full, and md the width going to be 2 by 5, so it's nearly the 5 portion of 2. So flex, and going to be it will be flex in column, we're gonna give that, and justify between, and padding in y we're gonna give is at 10, and px of 4. Okay, so now you see that portion we need to work on that. So what we are going to render, first thing first, we have that post and categories, so we're gonna give that. So in that div we're gonna pass that post dot categories dot map. So you'll pass that item, and inside from that item I'm going to render everything inside a p tag, so it will be that item dot title. And that p tag, remember, as we are mapping we need to give a key which going to be item dot id, and in the similar fashion in the link parameter also we need to give a key, and the key it will be item dot not the item. Now here is the post, so post dot id. Okay, you see that 2 is popping up. So now in that p tag where actually we define those portion, okay, okay, it's here. So in the p tag put some class name. Text it gonna be extra small, and we'll make it an uppercase. Text going to be blue of 600, and also I'm gonna make a font of semi-bold. You see that 2 looks fine, but right now in the top layer what I'm gonna do, put a class name. I'm gonna make a flex item center and a gap of 2, and this one I'm gonna get inside another div because I'm gonna have some more items. So I have the 2, so below that 2 I need to popping up the other things, so I will make that one h2 tag, and here I'm gonna pass that item dot title. Is it going to be item dot title? Not the item, because now I'm gonna access that post, remember, so it will be the post dot title, and that's the title I need to keep. So the post dot title, here in the post dot title, the class name, the text going to be that 2xl, and the font is going to be the semi bold, and hover text going to be orange of 600. Okay, 600, and duration of 200, and cursor pointer. And after the title we need to get that description, so I will just get a p tag, and here I'm gonna get that post dot description, and that description, for that description I'm gonna make it as class name the text gray of 500. As you see that looks good. Okay, similar on that way. So now here in the top layer of that div, remember we create that div, so not in, I think that's the div, yeah. So the class name flex in column, and we're gonna give a gap of 5. Okay, now looks good. So now as we finish that div, I'm gonna create another div, and inside that div I'm gonna pass a p tag, and here it's gonna be post dot created at. Just pass the dates. We're having the date, but we need to format the date in a bit. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just copy that. We're going to format in a JavaScript formation. So I'm gonna pass that new date formation, and here I'm gonna pass that post dot created at, and then we're gonna make it a to local data string. Okay, to local data string, and that data string is gonna be UN of United States data string we're gonna pass, and then in the object we're gonna pass the parameter the way we want it to be see. First we want today, which is going to be numeric, and also we want that month, which will be long, and also then we want that year, which will be numeric. So now, yeah, now it looks better. So for that p tag, what actually we can do, we can make that class name text going to be SM, font going to be semi bold, and text gray of 500. Okay, looks cool. So after that p tag, we need to get another div. So that's the div, and here we're gonna get an image tag, and inside that image tag we will give that source, which is going to be URL4, and that URL4 going to get that post dot author, and for that author image, and here we're gonna get that URL for the author image. And of course we need to pass that width of 200 and height of also 200. So we give the width and height, and alt tag it will be author image. Oops, it will be image, and the class name we're gonna make it as rounded of full, and also object cover, and width it gonna be 10 and height going to be 10. So after the URL we need to have that brackets. Okay, so we're gonna see that author image. Okay, it's nothing is visible right now. What's the things we made mistake, maybe something. So in the source URL post.author and author image. Okay, oh, it's available. It's just taking a bit of time to render. And after the image we're gonna take that another parameter, which is gonna be post.author.name. So it will pass the author name, and also the class name text it will be small text, and font going to be medium. And here in that layer you're gonna give a class name flex item center and the gap of 2. As you see, that looks cool. So in that layer on the top, again give a class name flex item center justify between. So you see that looks cool. So all the blocks are rendered, and if you go back to the smaller screen, you see that is responsive. So now if we click that, it should take us to another, like now it's just giving us in the home top, so it should be taking us to our Slack page. So how actually we can render that one? To render that one, we need to pass some parameter here. You see that href, it will not, in that href we need to pass that key. Okay, oh, not the key, oops, it's my bad. We need to pass that path name, and that path name it will redirect us to the post, and then with that Slack. Remember, the post it will be in that user portion, so we'll create a new file, the name of that post, and inside that post we need to combine that as this ID of Slack. So with that third bracket we will create that Slack, and in that oops, it will be a folder, so I will delete that. Okay, delete. So in the post we're gonna have another folder which going to be slug, and inside that slug we're gonna have that page.tsx. Oops, not tss, it will be tsx. Okay, array, and then array fce. Okay, did we make any mistake? Okay, so it will be Slack page. So now from the blog content, we need to, in the path name, we need to redirect to particular page there. So in that path name, I will just use the backtick. Oops, it will be the backtick, and / it's gonna take us to that post, and that post it's gonna be on the post which we have, then the slug, and then the current slug it's gonna redirect. And also we need to pass another parameter because we need to pass that query. So inside that query we're gonna pass the slug, so it will be the slug, and then the slug it will be the post.slug.current. so this slug it will be compiled over there. So if we click, and you're gonna see it's gonna take us to that, you see the slug, so it's taking us to the slug and that slug page. So now let's go back to the slug page. Now we need to work on here. So how actually we can work on here? So that's the slug page over here. Now everything we are passing here we can access on that params. So like if we go back and we are accessing, like we want to access the params. So to access the params, we and from the params, we know inside the params we are sending the slug. Oops, it will be that params, and from the params it will just, we will get that slug. And for right now I'm gonna just keep that as any. Oops, it will be, for right now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just pass that an any value. So just put in the log. Oops, it will be in the log, just to show you in the params like what we are actually. So it will not be the params, it will be the slug. So as you see in the slug, the benefits of traveling with a second language is coming. If we go back and if we just come with that surfing 10 best places in the world, you see surfing test best places in the world is coming, and here also this slug is coming. So now with that slug we can just go and prefetch the data from the vision, and we can show you how actually we can combine data together. So first we need to define that interface for our props. So it will be interface, and we're gonna pass that interface as props. So the params, and inside that params we know there is a slug, and the slug it's gonna be that string. So instead of any, we'll just pass that as props. So now we are having that slug. So with the slug we can actually go and fetch the data from that Sanity CMS. So now how actually we can fetch? Okay, so remember this is the slug here. So I'm going to copy the slug. Let's go in the Content Studio, let's go in the vision. So now here in the post I'm going to write a condition. Okay, that condition also it's gonna be generate and slug dot current oops, it will be, if that slug.current equal to that, then it's gonna give me the data. So you see I'm getting only one single hit, and I'm getting all the data related to that. So in that way we're gonna fetch the data from that parameter. And to fetch that one, we are going to use that GenerateStaticParams with that. So we're gonna just make that export const. It's gonna be GenerateStaticParams, and that params it's gonna take as async function. So it will be async, and then that's for that static generation for the pages. So the const query, that query it will equal to be again it will be the GROQ query. Okay, GROQ, and then in the GROQ query we're gonna pass that our parameter. Inside that parameter what actually we're gonna pass underscore type equal to, oops, it's equal to post, and from that post we're gonna just go and grab that slug. Okay, so that's the query we're getting. So from the type we're getting all the slug, and so now here we can actually render what we are going to see and how we are going to show it here. So now const slugs equal to, we're gonna just get that post. Remember we have that post. So oops, it will be, I believe slugs, it will be that post. Okay, so it will be that post, and then we're gonna await for that. Then we're gonna make that client dot fetch, and we're gonna pass that Okay, I think we are just in one line. I think, yeah, we should have it here. So now from the slags, we're getting all the posts, and then we're getting back our query. So we are now having all the items throughout the passing the slag, and also now we can make that routes with that. So it will be that slag routes, and then it can also make that slags.map, and then we can pass the slag, and for that individual slag we can make that slag, and then we can just go with that current, and then we can actually return that slag routes dot, oops, it will be dot map, and then it's going to be the slag, and in the object we can just pass that slag. So now that slag is actually coming from that server side generated. So now all the data, remember, once we are having click on that, it's just getting here. So without loading and any, it's placing fast. So that's the one I'm creating here. So now we are getting that slag as the server rendered. So now in the slag page, we can access the slag from both parameters. So now we will write our own query, and then which going to be that GROQ query. So GROQ. And here, what I'm gonna write, oops, it will be star, and then so underscore type is equal to post and slag dot current. It should be equal to slag, and then it's gonna be the first. It will just return me the first value if it's matching with the current, and then it's gonna return everything is happening there, and also it's gonna return the body, and also it's gonna return that author from there. Okay, so now we will have the author and other parameter. So now we're gonna make that const, we're gonna get the single post, and then the parameter of the post, and I will just await, and then client.fetch, and we're gonna pass that query, and inside that query we're gonna pass that parameter of the slag. Remember, we make it await, so you need to also make it async. Okay, so now if we just have that, we just make that log with that post, we will see one single post is rendering here matched with that. Okay, so let's go back here again. We're gonna make a fresh start. You see the first one, which is coming from the benefits of traveling with second language. You see that's the slag is coming here with all the parameters, all the data. So now we can render that one, and we can just grab all the things and keep it here as much as possible. And to render that one, remember, we are going to pass with that as a container. So that's the container we are providing, and we are passing it here. So inside the container, I'm gonna give a div. Inside, I'm gonna give another div, and then I'm gonna get an image tag from the next image. And here, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pass that source, which will be take that URL for, and then I'm gonna make that post.main image, and then I'm gonna just grab that URL, and also the width gonna be 500. Oops, it will be height going to be 500, and also tag, it will be main image. Oops, it will be main image, and the class name object, it will be cover, and width going to be full. Okay, let's see if the image is coming. Okay, as you see, that image is available. So now we should make it in that parameter on that level. So first thing first, in the container, I'm gonna just give a class name mb of 10 to just give a space for that footer, and that div, the class name, it will be the flex item center and margin bottom of 10. So the image going to be a little bit in the bottom. Okay, it will just create a gap on that here. And then for the div where the image is underlying, the class name width going to be full, and md, the width going to be 2 by 3. So that image going to be, as you see, that layer. So after that, we're gonna have another div. After very fast the image div is done, here what I'm gonna do, put a class name which going to be 1/3, and by default it's going to be hidden. MD it's going to be inline of flex, and flex it will be column item center, gap going to be of 5, and padding in x-axis going to be 4. So here, first thing first, we need to grab that image for the author. So again, I'm gonna grab that image tag, and remember we are passing the author properties. So in the source, I'm gonna get that URL for, and then same, remember we already did that, and that image and dot URL. That's it. Okay. So, and also weight going to be 200, height going to be 200, just for clarification, and alt it will be author image, and here give a class name which going to be weight going to be 32, height again 32, and then a rounded full object cover. Okay, so now we're gonna see that author image, okay, as available. So in that author, after that author image, I'm gonna pass a p tag, and in the p tag it's going to be post dot author dot, it's gonna give us the author name. So now in the name we're gonna pass that class name going to be text of 3 axle, and the text going to be, I'm gonna pass a color on that, so that will be the color, and also font going to be semi-bold. Okay, looks cool. So after that p tag, I'm gonna render another p tag where we're gonna pass that post.author.description, and inside the description I will just get that some class name. So the class name, I'm gonna make the text as center, and also tracking wide, and text as a small text. Okay, that's cool. I think that's much all. So there there is some icon. Remember we used that icon previously beforehand in that footer, so I'm not just going to be not that much explaining on it. So I will just copy that icon portion, and what I'm gonna do in the similar fashion, after that p tag we're just going to render that all the we need to import that link from the next link. Okay, so for the icon, it's just the icon I am passing. Remember the link is already here which we created beforehand. The similar, it will just follow up to that YouTube channel, and just passing that flex item center and giving a gap of 3. So now as you see, that div is finished. So after that div, this also the parameter of div is done. So I need to create another, not in here, in the bottom of that, I need to create another div, and here I'll just pick with p tag. So the body text is gonna be go there, so it will be rendering the body text here. So to do the body text, I'm going to use that portable text from the React. So that's the parameter we're going to use to get all the text render from the body. So what I'm going to do, npm I, it's going to take that portable text to React. I'm going to install that one, and from there we're going to render all the parameter, like all the text parameter here. So already installed here. What I'm gonna do, it's gonna get that portable text, and the value it's gonna be post dot body, and you see all the text is available, but remember the image and other properties is not available yet. So what I'm gonna do, one more thing, is that I'm gonna remove that console from here, so we can have that and other console properties properly initiate here. So in that console, you see the portable text React unknown block type image, specify a component for it in the component types prop. So for the image, we need to create some portion where actually we can predefine all the properties. So to implement that one, we're going to create a component named rich text. So let's go in the component layer. It will be rich text. rafce. So here we're gonna specify how actually those things going to be happen. So now in that portion, in the rich text, remember this is the portion of the rich text. So here instead of, I'm gonna remove that return portion, or instead of this parameter, I'm gonna remove everything. I'm gonna just make that export const, and that it's gonna be rich text. And here I'm gonna pass that value. So I'm gonna pass that types actually of types, and that types first parameter it's gonna be types of that image, not capital I, small I image, and that image going to take a value, and that value can be any value from anywhere. And now I'm gonna return something, return, and that's I believe I made a mistake here. It's going to be that value, but that any should be outside layer. Okay, that should work, any value. Okay, so in the return parameter, what actually okay, I'll do it again. So it will be the image inside that, so types, and say the types is going to be the image parameter. So in the image I'm gonna pass that one the value, so that's the value, and that value can be any value. Okay, I think now it should fine. So now I'm gonna return some of the parameter, and here what I'm gonna return a div, and inside that div I'm gonna return an image. Okay, an image, it will come from the next image, and that image first thing first, let me see why actually is not happening in a proper way. Okay, export const, we are exporting the type, it should work. So export const the rich text. Okay, I think I'm making a silly mistake here. So it will be again the image, and inside that image we're gonna pass that value, not in that parameter. So it will be the value, and that value going to be any value, and here we need to return the parameter. Okay, so now we're gonna return, we are going to return a div. Inside the div we are going to return an image, and remember in the image we need to give that source, and that source is gonna be go with that URL4, and it's going to take the value, and then from that value it's gonna pass that value URL, and also let's give that alt tag, so it will be that post image, and then the width going to be 700 for more clarity, and then also height going to be 700, and then the class name object going to be contain, and padding y going to be 6, and in the top layer of that particular div give a class name flex item center justify center. So now this is the parameter for that one, and after this types of image I'm going to render another one which going to be list, and that list going to be for that bullet, again the parameter going to be children, and that children can be any, and then we're gonna return not the return, we're gonna just pass we can actually do the inline return. Okay, instead of passing that return like the image, we can just return in the inline. So it's gonna take us the UL, and then it's gonna pass that as a children. So this is the similar fashionable way. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just pass that value here. So that's the UL value. So just put that class name here, and after that UL parameter we're gonna have that number parameter, which is going to be take the UL, that order list. So that's the list, and that's the number value for that order parameter. And then the one of the important one is the block parameter. So I'm gonna get that block parameter, BLOCK, which going to generate all the text. So here the first one, first we're gonna generate 4 parameter. One, it will be h1 to h4, then we have the block code. So this 4 parameter will be responsible to generate all the like the properties of that, how the text going to be bold or small. Remember, also in that Sanity vision, not the vision, in the structure, if we just go back to any of the post here, okay, structure tool crash. Okay, what's wrong with that? I think there should not be an error. Just try to close that terminal and reload. Maybe we are having an error beforehand and then it's just fetching that error and keeping the caching. Okay, we have no error so far. That was a wrong message on that. Okay, so what's actually happening? As you see, we are passing the text. You see that text is actually the h1, that is the normal text, and then also we are passing is to text. So that is the portion which is responsible to keep looking which text gonna be in which way. And also we need to pass another, the last portion one, which is going to be the mark link, and that mark link going to be activated if we have any interlink. For this one, I don't have any interlink. If you want to create that, feel free to create. And also we need to import that link from that next link. Okay, so now as I have that rich text, so now what actually we can do here in our page, in our actually the Slack page, we can go there and then we can implement that one. So where is our Slack? This is our Slack page. And remember, that's the portable text we are providing. And also, if you remember, that's the things we are rendering here. We are not getting any image. So now we will just get the components, and that component is gonna appear with that rich text. So after implementing that, you see it's compiled and everything is just fine. We're getting all the text and it's fine. So now if we go to our back to the blog, if we go back here, wow, it's rendering. And also is placing is responsible. Sorry, it's responsive. Now one task for you, keep pushing yourself to generate that small menu whenever the way you feel preferable and however you feel preferable. So that's your homework. You can create that one as your own. So this is pretty much all in our normal fashion. You see everything is working just fine. But there is a small catch. The small catch is that now this is the first one, which is actually the benefits of traveling with a second language. Let's go back here and the benefits. Okay, so now here what I'm gonna do, the test content. So if we just make it publish and let's see if it's publishing or not. If we come back here, let's go back to and refresh. And let's see, you see it's not rendering. It's because we are not modifying that one. We are not validating that one. So how actually, there is a very cool trick in Nextjs is that in the server side application, you just make that, you just export one function name, which from here, I will just make that export const revalidate 30. So it's gonna revalidate in every 30 seconds. So also in the pages, we want the same setup. Okay, so it will revalidate on every 30 seconds. So if we now exchange is happening, text content now. So if we just publish that one, so you can see it in after 30 seconds. So let's just surf in some of the pages. Let's see how it looks like. I think you can just modify the images and any other things. You can keep a loader here to render the image when it's just having a little bit of slicky time. It's gonna just render with that. So that's much. You see, now it's just coming here instantly. So I don't need that one. So now post again. So now here we already have our application done. So how actually we can just submit in that Vercel to create the same with that URL. Okay, so implement that one. Let's just go close everything. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use my terminal here. Let's just close here, and from here I'm gonna just write that Vercel. So now if you don't see that option, you need to just make that npm I, like you need to run that command to get that, which gonna be npm I g npm I g Vercel. you need to install the Vercel globally. If you install, then you can access the command line from there. Either way, you can just deploy it from the GitHub. So of course, I want to set up the deploy. Okay, yes. And now it's gonna make, okay, I have an account which is named with my name. If you doesn't log in your account, it's gonna go and ask for the credential. If you're using your GitHub or Google, just keep the credential and give it in a proper way. You can access anything. Now link to existing project. No, I want to create a new one. What's your project name? So it will be, I'm gonna give a name of the bloggers YT. Okay, in the root. So now it's gonna setting up the project. So also if we go back to our Vercel dashboard, you can see actually, okay, want to modify those settings? No, the default settings, you see the build command, it's gonna be with the next build and other things, everything is okay. So if we just refresh, you see the bloggers YT is already initiated. So previously we are using our GitHub to go in that portion, but you can also use that command line. So now also see that building terminal, building option, you see that's building. So now just give it a little bit of time. You can see the message here, and also you can track all the properties is available here. And now here you can see one interesting thing. Remember, when it's the creating the paging, you see is already generating all the pages, all other pages, 4, 5, 6, 7, like whatever, however the pages we have together, it's just rendering in the server side. So it will be the page, it will be instantly loaded. So the loading time is gonna be a very just a millisecond, or it may not be also. So now as you see, everything is done. So first thing first, now actually we can go and see our blog here. It's gonna render, but it will not work in a very magical fashion, which actually we are preferring, is because there is one more things we need to set. We need to pass that environment variable .env file here. So now let's go back to our bloggers YT. So in the settings, now we need to go to that environment variables. Remember, we are keeping that variables here in our .env file. So now I will just copy that one and paste it here, and also this portion here, save. And the data set also, I'll keep that data set, and I will just go with that production layer. And also that API version, I'll just keep that version. Okay, so now everything is ready to go. So let's just save, reload it again. So now we will keep a test. In that test, you remember, is a bloggers yt.vercel app. So in that test, we're gonna create just a text demo one. Let's see if it's working or not. So let's go and access the studio. Now, of course, it's gonna ask for the cross setup, because remember, we are now in the bloggers yt.vercel.app, not in the localhost 3000. First, once we access, we settle for that localhost 3000. Now we need to settle here. So add the course, okay, and we are here. So in the post, we're gonna just create a test post to see if it's working or not. So let's open a new post. So that will be just a test post from the YouTube. So in the description, I'll just give some lorem, put a slide on that, and the author going to be the same author previously which we have been passed. The upload option, I'm gonna just give that image, okay, the main image. And also for that, okay, I'll just copy this text from there. Okay, so that's the text. Okay, let's just go and copy that, and we are going to paste it here. And then also we gonna get that image and paste the text. So let's publish. So now it will be like, as it will just give it a little bit of time because it's gonna sync the document and then it's gonna publish. But remember, the revalidation time is just 30 seconds. So now we are waiting for that publishing is published. So okay, let's go back to our website. So now it should appear after 30 seconds. So just explore a bit, give it a 30 seconds to come up with that. Or okay, I think it's okay. Let's try. It should appear. Okay. What's the name we give? Oh, we give a name of test post from the YouTube, right? Okay, test blog from the YouTube. Okay. No, it's not creating. Okay. It should have come, but maybe some internet issue is just not revalidating. So this doesn't matter. It should appear in your application because we already tested it from the local. So you need to just keep that environment file and everything as possible in a good way. So we'll just wait a bit on that. But before on that time, I'll just go in my GitHub account because what I want to give that things for you to run in your project. So now here from the repository, I'll create a new repository which going to name as that bloggers YT. So here everything it will be available. So I will just go in my project, and inside that project what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna remove this portion so you can write your own and then you can implement that one here. Okay, so remember, don't forget to get that 3 things after creating the project, and all other things gonna work just fine if you have those things. So I'll just check one more time. Okay, so okay, it's removed from here. So you need to put and update your .env file. So I'm gonna close all, and then I'm gonna make that git init to initializing the git, and git add dot, and after that git commit the message. It will be that initial commit. And now I need to connect my repository with that local repository here, and then I will make that git push u origin master. So now it will push everything from my local to here. So this link, it will be in the description, that repo link, so where you can actually access that link, and all the design, every other single parameter, it will be just available here. You can either fork it or either clone it or download it. Then you just put that your env file. Remember your project ID, dataset, and API version. If you put it in a correct way, it will just give you all the things you require. So just this env file you need to initialize in proper way. I think it can really help you to create your own blog. And if you have any inquiry regarding the blog, if you just cannot make it happen, just let me know in the comments below. I will help you with the guide, and then you can actually access everything, all the link parameter, all other things going to be available in that repo, on that file, whatever you saw here. So I wish you all the best to create your blog and to create this beautiful website in your own, and change the data, modify the data the way you want, and it will be just simple and fine. Okay, so I wish you all the best. So we'll see you in next video.